All right, please welcome to the stage the lovely Aubrey Jenny.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's hard to follow that up, but there's been so many great presentations here today and this weekend. So I'm Aubrey Jenny. I and my husband, Mikey Jenny, do Candid Truth. It is a YouTube ministry talking about culture and media and society, and I usually cover a lot of those other details like Michael was just talking about, that are paganism in our culture today and how to unwrap that for people. So it's interesting because I've been asked by Carol today, it's an honor, but I was asked to actually play a role, which is like my part-time job, as a functional nutritionist to talk to you guys about xenoestrogens. So this is taking a whole different shift, but it's an important part of life to be aware of. So they will be mentioned sometimes as endocrine disruptors, hormone disruptors, estrogen mimickers, if you've heard of those when they're talking to you about it. And it causes quite a bit of havoc on the body. So let's just go ahead and define what an xenoestrogen is. It's a foreign synthetic chemical that mimics natural estrogens and can bind to estrogen receptors in the body, potentially leading to disruptions in various biological processes, including brain development, cognition, and behavior. So, I don't know if any of you guys are dealing with hormone problems, but that's what we're dealing with here. We kind of all are, we just don't know it. And you'll probably just see that in a second. So just to make this clear, it is a problem. We're actually consuming, in a study, they found that it's up to a credit card worth of plastic within us every week. Okay? And so it comes from our plastics, our phthalates, our bottles that are made out of, well, plastic again, our furniture, our clothes that are spun plastic fibers. We'll be getting into all this because there's so many hidden paths that they use plastic and phthalates in. So, just to give it more of a standing, legs to stand on, it says including, I'll start from the beginning, because plastic particles are everywhere, including in virtually all foods, water, and beverages. They commonly infiltrate our bodies when we breathe, eat, and drink. Some plastics and plastic chemicals can also be absorbed through our skin. So start thinking really a lot about that. It's through our skin that we absorb these even. In addition to breathing in a credit card's worth of plastic per week, other research suggests the average person also ingests, oh, did I already say that? A credit card's worth of plastic per week. So they're just saying it again, I guess. Oh no, I'm sorry. Let me point that out. That's the difference between breathing and ingesting. So that's twice the amount, a credit card size twice per week, from ingestion and then from breathing. It's a lot. Who knew? And if you like it in grams, it's 260 grams of microplastics every year then. The weight of an apple. All right, this woman and her blog, she seems to be focusing on the fact that plastics are found everywhere, from our clothing to our bedding and our furniture. Have we thought about it that deeply before? Probably not. She says from your coffee cups and clothing to packaging and furniture, their durability coupled with a lack of proper waste management and regulatory measures contribute to the ever-growing waste problem. Often referred to as forever chemicals, plastics can take anywhere from hundreds to thousands of years to degrade. I'm sure we know this as we put things in our trash cans and it goes off to a landfill somewhere. Maybe we do make some kind of recycling efforts, but it usually doesn't make quite the effort or the impact we're hoping to make. So we have quite a lot of waste just floating everywhere. So, xenoestrogens are chemicals that mimic or interfere with estrogen. We've established that. They are primarily stored in fat cells throughout the body, which, for me, my mind starts going a bit more. When you think about this, it's in your fat cells. They like to have some fat to hold on to, fats, oils, obviously that's why they're there, but this is why weight loss and periods of stress, when you're sweating, think of just sweating in any sense, is good for you. That's actually a key point that they are giving you, how to detox it, okay? If you can get rid of those fat cells, you can actually detox some of these toxins right out of you. All right, so we're going to be discovering the very many different ways you can start detoxing and helping yourself. But I've had a lot of people ask, why does this really matter? I don't feel in bad health. I'm not having any problems. You're lucky if you're not. So that's great, but it still impacts you because, as you'll come to find, there's sneaky little ways it's getting into your life, into your bloodstream. So for men, and I hate to say this, but men are usually the ones that say, I don't really care. And that's okay, but I'm going to show you why you should care about it. So from a study on males and how estrogen actually affects them and why everyone needs it, we are going to see that with male health, it actually impacts prostate function directly and fertility. I know you guys all care about that. But as we see, balance is key. Too little and too much estrogen can cause health problems as well. In males, estrogen is primarily derived from the conversion of testosterone by a certain enzyme called aromatase. In the prostate, it gives estrogen receptors, in the prostate, estrogen receptors regulate cell growth and differentiate them. That means if you don't have enough estrogen, your cells down there don't actually divide and become what they're supposed to be. They will have deformities. So, you need that. Balanced estrogen levels protect the prostate by modulating inflammation and reducing the risk of excessive cell proliferation. That's exactly what I was talking about. Proliferation just means dividing, becoming what it's supposed to be, and even protecting. Certain cells have to become different types of things to carry out their function. So when you think about this, for any of us, I'll just kind of pop the bubble I'm going to get into anyway. For any human being on earth, excessive estrogen is a problem. Even women do not want excess estrogen. All excess estrogen, among other things, leads to cancer. So you just never want that. And it says here, just like I was saying, that this can lead to conditions like prostate, hyperplasia, or prostate cancer in men. Similarly, in the reproductive system, estrogen facilitates fluid reabsorption into the epididymitis. So, sperm concentration, sperm travel, sperm nutrition, and motility is what they're talking about. If your sperm doesn't come out properly, doesn't have the right virility of the sperm cells, it won't do the job. So insufficient estrogen disrupts these processes, potentially resulting in poor sperm and infertility. That's how the world goes round in the little sperm factory. That's actually where you hold the most estrogen as a male. However, excessive estrogen, then, as we had said, in males can have equally detrimental effects, causing a range of health problems. Elevated estrogen levels are often associated with suppressed testosterone production, leading to hormonal imbalances that impair spermatogenesis, reduce libido, and contribute to erectile dysfunction. High estrogen levels can also cause gynecomastia, enlarged breast tissue, so male breasts, and increased fat deposits around the body, particularly in the abdominal areas, which may contribute to insulin resistance and diabetes and obesity over time. So as you see, it's a progressive thing. If you have too much or too little, it always leads to a certain progression of disease within the body. Furthermore, excess estrogen has been linked to increased risk of prostate disorders, as I mentioned, including inflammation, cancer, due to overstimulation of the ER-A receptors. Don't worry about that. I just was getting pretty brainy and nerdy into this so that I could prove to you guys it's a thing. That promotes abnormal cell proliferation. Okay? So let's just break it down. It's a summary, an overview of what I said. With males, it can also cause in anybody thyroid dysfunction and contributing to metabolic and hormonal imbalances. But let's just go to too little estrogen in the male and the overview of that. It leads to impaired sperm maturation or maturity, reduced sperm quality, and hormonal imbalances and prostate dysfunction. Okay. Too much estrogen, as I had said, causes gynecomastia, decreased testosterone, infertility, prostate disorders, abdominal obesity, insulin resistance, and potential cardiovascular issues. So there's just ways of somewhat looking at your clients. Like when I get clients and I've actually counseled them for it, they are having a usual body type. You can start seeing, as I said, the different fat deposits into certain areas and know that there's a hormonal issue going on here. Okay. For females, as we might realize, it's vital. It actually runs everything in our bodies, whether you're male or female. But it also plays a huge role in reproduction and overall health. It is produced for females in the ovaries primarily, and in the smaller amounts by the adrenal glands and fat tissue. Estrogen regulates the menstrual cycle, it maintains the vaginal and uterine health, and it supports bone density. As you might realize, people tell you just to have magnesium for osteoporosis or bone health. Estrogen is actually what governs that, not calcium. It can also lead to cardiovascular function problems for males and females. And skin elasticity, we care about that a lot as females. We want to be supple, we want to be young. So estrogen also is the thing that balances out not getting wrinkles too early in life, among some other cofactors. It is essential for ovulation and prepares the endometrial lining for pregnancy. So one of the complications that I'm coming across, being my age and seeing some of my, people that I just know that are the same age as me, they are all dealing usually with huge menstrual issues, especially endometriosis, where this lining that's supposed to coat the uterus is actually clotting and causing scar tissue. It doesn't allow the blood to come out like it's supposed to during the menstrual cycle. And it causes more and more pain as it does. So estrogen also influences skin hydration, sebum production, and hair growth for both parties, male and female also. So it becomes a very important issue when all of a sudden today you're seeing a huge amount of males and females who have complications for these things. They are unaware as to what is happening to their body. They just know that their health is being wrecked. And they don't know why. And this applies heavily, by the way. If you know someone who's fit, perhaps skinny, they're in shape, they work out everything, they eat right, but all of a sudden, they still end up with cancer. They still end up with some kind of problem that doesn't make sense at all. This would be their category that they fit into. Okay? So, there's all of that. Now let's actually get into just real quick, the overview for women. Low estrogen levels, common during menopause or due to ovarian dysfunction, leads to osteoporosis. I talked a little bit about that already. Vaginal atrophy, where the lining just doesn't have the dexterity and the composition it should anymore. Irregular menstruation, hair loss and acne, rosacea, and other types of problems there with the skin. Excess estrogen from your birth control, that's one clue there. It'll do that to you every single time, and I don't have time to necessarily talk about all the alternatives, but there are herbal birth controls you can take that do not affect your hormones like that. So, it also, excess estrogen causes endometriosis, breast cancer, ovarian and cervical cancers of all kinds, menstrual disorders, skin issues, and others. It's a whole plethora. It really does come back in your face over and over again. So I'm sure we all know somebody, perhaps, that is going through some kind of hormonal imbalance right now, who's having actual excessive estrogen. Okay, so who has heard of these things? Let's start with parabens. Can you guys raise your hand? Have you heard of parabens? Okay. Do you guys know what they are? Okay. Here's why I do this. This is why this whole thing matters. Parabens are waxes. Waxes that are chemically derived, where they want it to be nice and milky and creamy, and they want it to melt in a certain way. They've added plastic. It's basically a plastic candle. Okay? So that's paraben. That's how it gets into your body, is by breathing it in when it is lit, when it burns. Fragrances, there you go, it's in everything. Synthetic fragrances, if it is not made by a flower.
No joke.
Can you guys hear me on this one?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it is not natural and it doesn't come from a tree or a flower or an herb, you really shouldn't be putting it on you. Because what they do is they come up with some kind of alcoholic substance that usually has some kind of oily substance, and they put a chemical with it that has a fragrance. But they've made it in a lab. It's all synthetic, and they just tell people, oh, I made this substance, it smells good, doesn't it? Like, that's all that matters. And the people wear it, and it goes straight through the skin into those organs to create that kind of problem again and again. So fragrances will continue to always be a problem, unfortunately for women especially, again. This is what led me personally to start making my own deodorants, my own hair care, my own lotion, my own shampoo and conditioner, everything. And I was successful at it. Quite honestly, I'll be honest, I didn't have time to just become a body care creator and sell it all over, although I was selling it. But I do promote you making your own. If you can find a way, please do it, because it's better for you than anything you're going to get at the store. And that's a huge statement to make, I realize that. But there are only an exception to a few brands out there that actually can stand up to a clean test, to actually go, this is clean and I can wear it. At least for me. I guess maybe I have pretty high standards for that, but I think you should too. So, I'm just gonna grab this. Okay, so there's phthalates, and phthalates that's a harder one to explain because it's actually a type of plastic that we don't realize that we are getting. This one is usually added, this is where you're going to look at your cosmetics, your lotions, your body care, because again, it creates things, makes it creamy. So it stands in your hand and it doesn't just puddle. So we think, it's luxurious, it makes you feel nice. I get it. I love that too. We're humans, we love that. But it's liquid plastic that makes things whip up and look nice. BPAs, as we probably know, those are your plastics of any kind, your food containers, your bottles, your, I guess, basins you might buy at Walmart, and so on. PFAs are a certain kind of, wow, that's a hard one too, because it's also a type of plastic, but you can actually get those from heated plastic in your food, such as, there you go, yeah, water bottles. Not that they're always heated, but you leave them in your car, yeah?
Even your clothing.
Yes, your clothing would be a big one. It's just strung out all across the board. I have some examples just to help you understand. And sulfates. Sulfates in and of itself in a chemical, the chemical that it is actually has a lot of these hormone mimickers in them. So let's just quickly go through this. Bisphenol A, which is your BPAs, are plastics, canned foods, receipts. I never thought of the receipts part. Bisphenol S is a different kind that, and F, by the way, S and F, they actually get to claim this is BPA free, but it's not. And so it's like an alternative that they think is better. It's still plastics and bottles and different things, but it's just a different kind that they can say is better that's not. Phthalates are soft plastics and fragrances and detergents. Microplastics are in water bottles, seafood, and air pollutants. Plasticizers. Plasticizers are a whole other world that I will be talking about further. But they're in food packaging. They're added to milk to make it creamy and not separate. It's in water, in your bottles, not just the water bottle. To create the bottle to be hard and rigid, it is actually in the water. And I can't explain why at this very moment. But there's DDTs. Contaminated soil has this in it. Imported produce usually has it in it. Atrazine, as we've probably heard, is herbicides and non-organic produce that has it on it. Dieldrin and endosulfan in your soil and your waterways. Lindane and lice treatments and pesticides. I don't think we think of how to treat disease or pests very well without giving another chemical in place of it. And when we do, we're directly putting these things into our body. So we have those. We have equipment. I'm going to go through it a little quicker. Dioxins, which are in incinerator byproducts. Alkyl phenols, detergents, paints, coatings. Parabens, like I said, lotions, shampoo, candles, and makeup. Benzophenones, sunscreens and cosmetics. Octinoxates, I'll call it. Some of these are really hard to say. So thank you for bearing with me. It's in UV sunscreens and cosmetics. Synthetic musks, again, fragrances, air fresheners. DES, I'm not going to try to pronounce that other than just say DES, is in livestock enhancers and the environment. Birth control pills, wastewater, detergents. Well, I don't really care that you know all these names, to be honest. I just want you, I'm going to probably just start reading what's on the left side so you understand what it's in, okay? Detergents, industrial cleaners, non-organic produce, runoff, meat, dairy products, furniture, textiles, electronics, household and industrial cleaners, plug-ins, sprays, candles, industrial and household products, again, and paints and coatings. And we have nonstick cookware, thermal paper receipts, and calcium chloride, which is in tofu, ironically, and certain drinks that you will get that you think are healthy. It's added, mainly they'll say for like, what is it called now? Electrolytes, and then for the creaminess factor, again, it's always that luxury of the convenience of something creamy that they want you to ingest or feel on your skin, or so on. So this is how it works. This is a normal cell receptor, or endocrine receptor, if you will, that specifically is keyed in for estrogen. And it has to have that specific shape to fit into that receptor. But in many cases, whether it's our fragrances, or parabens, or whatever type of chemical we were just talking about. It is a different shape like a pill, and it fits straight into the front end of that receptor and jams it. Not only does it start infecting that cell with too much estrogen, but usually you have to do a detox to actually unjam that receptor site. And so that's how it all starts to infiltrate the body. And you've got many of these. If you think about how many times you spray perfume on, or your conditioner is really coating your hair too much, or certain things that are just full of it that you put on an abundance of, you have about, let me estimate, maybe 30 receptor sites getting jammed at once. Some people should even think about this as why they're losing their hair, because their hair products are actually jamming the hair follicle sites. So you just have to think about it everywhere, and unfortunately, it is literally everywhere. And that means in our aluminum cans, plastic bottles, we have to start learning to look for it, right? Our brain needs to start thinking, what is it really in? In our toothpastes, has anyone realized in our toothpaste they actually have a chemical in there, again, to make it pleasant for the mouth, that directly puts estrogen in your body? They've realized that men, especially who have changed toothpaste not to have estrogen in it, can actually help themselves out a lot, specifically with male breasts. They can have it go away if they just get off of a certain toothpaste. So it can make a difference. I'm not saying that it always does. There's usually a large group of factors in someone's life that's causing these. But the goal is to clear these out of your life as much as possible. So in your deodorants, toothpaste, antibacterial soap, your fast foods, have we ever realized when they put oil in the food and that French fry doesn't exactly go limp or start sweating when it should have, right out of the air fryer, that it's actually a plastic we have to thank for that? So it's being directly put on the food. Your receipts of any kind, microwave popcorn, again, it doesn't sweat. The bag itself holds in all of the moisture and all of the heat, pop right. And when you open it, usually in your face to smell it, all of those PFAs, those plastic chemicals, go straight into the olfactory bulb and the nose cells and straight into the brain, where it starts jamming the receptor sites and causing this toxicity. And on that note, it's in your active wear because they don't want you to sweat. When they're trying to retain moisture and make you not have sweating issues and your antiperspirants, that's what they're doing. They're just jamming the receptor sites again. You're coating it, making it not work right, and there you go. It's all plastic to thanks for it. So body wash, scented candles, perfume, air fresheners. I want to land on air fresheners real quick because although it's linked with perfumes and fragrances, I have been working in medicine for a little while, even without being a functional nutritionist. My own experience, I guess, as a patient has taught me quite a lot. In high school, I could hardly get out of bed, and I was going to 8 specialists, and they couldn't tell what it was for almost 4 years. So I went into college like that, and I was doing well academically still, but I would pull myself out of bed, try to act normal for the few hours I was at school, and then come home and just crash. And I found out I had several issues going on, but they wanted to admit me to oncology at the last step and phase of the medical stuff that I was going through. And this was during my junior year of college. I was passing out everywhere. During class, I'd walk across campus, try to get to my next class, and I never knew when I was just going to pass out and be unconscious. It was a very fearful thing. But during this point in time, my story links with this because oncology is where they wanted to send me. I started looking through all these herbal books and putting together a regimen of capsules to take every day. And within 2 months, I was feeling better. a lot of those symptoms were going away. And I prayed for God to give me an answer to what was going on. I didn't want to die at that young of an age. And I felt so lifeless. My mom knew it too. She was afraid for me. And air freshener is what I realized among the other women I was talking to, and their fragrances of perfumes and so on that they're putting on them, is actually one of the #1 causes for the patients being in oncology in the first place. So if you can take the air fresheners out of your house, of your car, you can have them, don't get me wrong. Like I said, they have to be natural. In fact, I recommend that they be essential oils. I do understand that essential oils dissipate quicker than synthetic chemicals, and that's why they also make them synthetic. But you can reapply them throughout the day. I know that can be, I don't know, frustrating to some, but it will get you just as far with a deodorant. Sometimes some of us have to reapply deodorant during the day anyway. So start using essential oils if you can, please. Just be smart about which ones you choose, because they can actually chap and burn your armpits if you choose way too strong of ones. And dilute them if that is the case, because you don't want to fry your body.
Aubrey, what did you say was making you feel better after a couple of months of doing what?
I put together my own herbal supplement routine, and my list was long. It was a whole page. I was probably taking up to, I don't know, minimum 30 pills a day, all the way up to more than that, maybe 40 some days. I would add some other supplements into that, but otherwise, it's what God needed me to do at the time, because I didn't realize I wasn't getting the nutrients, or I had these toxicities, that these things were needed to be put into my body to actually start cleansing and fixing things. So that's what I did.
So what had more to do with like detoxing stuff that was already in you, or you stopped taking in stuff that was causing it? What do you think?
My health problems did stem from some of this, I know that, but it wasn't like primarily from all of this. So I can't really speak to that routine I was taking, being specifically about all these plastics and things. But I did start at that moment in time thinking about these very things and reducing it as much as I could in my life. My sister, unfortunately, was having some issues herself hormonally, and she's actually the reason why I started making my body care line that I have. And so it worked on her. She has very sensitive skin, very sensitive hormones, and it started changing things for her and turning it all back.
And you still offer you offer these safer products right now.
I have found that I can't get the ingredients in bulk anymore. They've shut down a lot of those vendors during the problems that we've had with tariffs and so on. So I've actually had to shut down my body care line currently.
You don't offer products. You're more of like a provider of a service now, like a nutritionist.
I could, if someone truly wants that, I can help.
Well, I missed the part where you said what you did.
Oh,
Like
so I counsel people on their health problems now as a functional nutritionist.
Okay.
So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to the right side here. Plastic containers are in abundance in everybody's home, I think. And we all know it's expensive to move up to glass Tupperwares and stuff, but it's a necessary step, I believe. So just do it in phases, I guess, one step at a time. Because each of our funds that we have on hand may prevent us from doing it all at once. And contaminated food supplies actually have them in it too. Herbicides, sunscreens, like we said, contaminated water. People don't think sometimes about contaminated water and the fact that most of the waters that they're selling you at the store, they added the calcium chloride. They added the other stuff back to it because they can claim it's a benefit to us. Where did we hear that again? You know, it's a benefit to you because I think it's electrolyte, and so it is, because one of our electrolytes is calcium. But it's one of those toxic chemicals in a lab that they made that they're adding to the water. And so I would suggest everyone get a filtration system. If you can, do Berkey and also water drop, because water drop even goes beyond that. It can have UV radiation, UV screening that actually pulls out some of the hormones and the extra residue chemically that's been added in there. It's not just filtering out the physical stuff that you can feel or see. And fabrics, like she was mentioning in the back that had a question. This is a hard one, especially because I hate it so much. All of our clothes mostly are made out of plastics now, and trying to go like completely cotton or bamboo or whatever is a very expensive endeavor. But I've started doing that in phases also. I think it's also very necessary. Yeah, but I've transitioned my husband into that as well. He's pretty happy with it. He's found some really silky clothes, like literally bamboo silk. So it feels great. Candles, arsenic in our food, we know that too. Dental fillings. Dental fillings are a whole thing I could go off on, but I'm not going to. Non-stick cookware, most of us have heard of the Teflon and other enamels that are getting into our food as we cook. Or the spoons and utensils we're using to turn the food in it is chipping away at and getting into our bodies then. So there's pesticides and cosmetics to finish off that list.
How about distilled water? Do you recommend distilled water to your clients?
It's not clean enough.
Oh.
It doesn't take everything out that I'm looking for. Like I said, if you're looking for literally testosterone, extra testosterone or estrogen, not just plastics being added to your water, then you're going to have to go into a deeper filtration system than that.
Like the Berkey you're saying?
Reverse osmosis.
What?
Reverse osmosis.
That one I found actually takes all of the good things from it usually, all the natural electrolytes from the water, and leaves you with a water that's very, it's kind of like glass cardboard of, I don't know, of water. It's not nutritional at all at that point.
You're not a big RO fan?
I grew up on it, and I was consistently dehydrated.
Straight from the spring.
Yeah, that is one alternative, is straight from a spring
Okay.
or something. But I guess I might be a little more paranoid about it. I still put it through the Berkey or through the water drop system. And so I think it helps, and it leaves the good bacteria and the good things there while just taking out the bad. That's what I recommend.
What about alkaline water?
Alkaline water, I'm all for it. That is great.
Even if they sell it in plastic bottles?
What?
Is it a plastic bottle?
No, so I'm into, usually if I flew here, so I couldn't bring my huge gallon-sized water bottle, but I have one. It's stainless steel. I take it everywhere with me. People usually know me and start conversations over it. And so I admittedly am dehydrated here because I don't have that big bottle, but I'm okay. But I would suggest everyone go to a glass or stainless steel bottle for that reason. Little do we know that actually our bodies need a lot more water than we think. Also, if you weigh more than 120 pounds, you should be drinking a gallon of water a day. If you're lower than that, it's only half a gallon. But it's, like I said, a lot more than most of us are thinking, right? Okay, so let's understand the dynamics of your healthy skin for one, because hydration is a huge point in this, and so is the plastics that are usually in our cosmetics and our body care. We have to realize that when these irritants and plastics go in, like it's showing the yellow arrow, it actually starts dehydrating and killing the cells, and those plastics go into the cell instead and start to make them infected, if you will. When you have good oils and moisture going on your skin, you're supposed to be having that because it creates a skin barrier. I forget what they call it now, but it's a healthy skin barrier of oils that keeps bad things out. just kind of like having good bacteria on your skin. We don't want to kill all of that. Those oils are a physical barrier for anything to get in. That is necessary even in your gut. When you think about this connection in your gut, you want to be hydrated at all times because your gut lining is going to be your first contact in many ways after your skin to govern how healthy you are, how your absorption of vitamins and supplements occurs. If you have dry lining, you can also get cancer from that directly. And so it's very, very absorbent. That's my biggest point here is hydration and absorbent, so that the chemicals that they're putting into your food, on your body, when you use their products, it is so highly absorbent it goes straight in. Have any of you guys actually realized, I think you will actually, if you do switch to an essential oil, put it on your skin and find out how long it takes to actually dissipate fully, where you can't smell it at all. You'll find out how quick your skin cells pull in any kind of substance when you put it on it. There's also an iodine test that'll show you that too, and also how compromised your liver is, which I suggest as well. Please go look these things up. Again, huge topics here. I don't have time to delve into all of it, but it's an important factor. When you heat up plastics in a microwave, like our Tupperwares, you'll find that there are suspended particles in your plastic Tupperware that you thought was stable because it's rigid. All you see is a rigid plastic. But there are energized particles that start to vibrate when you heat it up. And once it vibrates during the heating process, it actually becomes penetrative into your food. It usually moves straight through steam into your food once it's been heated up, or into your water. And so plastic containers are a huge offender of this also. Oh, I'm not going to play that. Okay, so recap, and I'd like to kind of use this time to not just recap, but give you some of the shocking things that you might not think have these contaminants in it. So we talked about shampoo and conditioner. Feminine hygiene products, actually they do add plastic usually to feminine hygiene products as well, to, I don't know, to make it absorb more. Activewear, as I mentioned, to be moisture wicking, it has to have plastic in it. Hard soaps will always have something that makes it have to become solid that is more from a plastic derivative. So I actually advocate for soaps that are liquids for everything. Laundry detergent and softeners usually have it. All fragrances and perfumes, birth control, unfiltered water. Milk, as I talked about, has plasticizers. It's actually a white milky plastic they will pour straight into the milk process when they're milking and when they're doing stuff. Plant uptake. Your food, actually, if you have plastic in your soil, your plants might just uptake plastic right up into it. Cooking oils. Salt. When you think of your salt, some of you might actually realize that they're putting almost an amount of sugar into your salt as well, but part of that is granulated plastic as well. Unless you're buying from a very good source, like Himalayan or Celtic, then I would actually recommend that and actually advocate for it. So in beer usually has microplastics because it's mostly water, which often contains microplastics to make it kind of milky. I wouldn't say milky, but cloudy. That kind of brew, the malty flavor you like. It's not just the flavor. In fact, it's not the flavor at all. I would just say it's the texture. Honey. Honey is usually a microplastic that they're adding as well. In fact, I found waxes added to a lot of honey. I suggest you get to know a local honey distributor or farmer because then you'll know it actually is real honey. In tea, yeah, tea is great. I love it every day and lots of it. But the tea bags usually, again, have a plastic filter or screen on it that covers the bag so that it does not deteriorate as you steep your cup of tea. Frozen meals, the same thing, just plastic containers, and fresh produce have microplastics that are detected on the fruit peel. As we talked about, the forever chemicals and the peel, what is that? A discovery or invention they made that goes on all produce that changes your body. Is it by Bill Gates? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, but I just don't know the name of it right now. So this is another one. It shows just how hard it is to find activewear that isn't plastic and how it affects everything. I'm not going to go through all of it again, but I'm going to re-emphasize food here. So gluten, I know that many people, when they have compromised health, they're usually dealing or come to a point where they might find that they are gluten intolerant or have a sensitivity. And that can be, in some ways, a good thing, because when our processed breads and flours and wheats come out of a mill and are used the way they are, they usually have plasticizers, microplastics, and other additives in the process of making it that they have in your food when you buy it from the store. It can be directly added to stabilizers and emulsifiers, and a study was done on this, on food packaging and leaching and industrial contamination. One thing I found, because I do have gluten sensitivities, is that when I get grains that are like, for instance, arrowroot or buckwheat and millet and other alternative grains I can eat, I have to actually look for metal toxicity within those, because their milling machines usually chip and put metals into your grains and into your flour. So it's it can be a very hard thing to do. Again, yes?
So the metals you're concerned about, it's not like iron, right?
No, we're talking about like cadmium.
Okay.
And, the toxic ones that you'll find, mercury even.
Right, there's a guy I get my stuff from, and he has a cast iron one that he uses.
Okay.
So I just
Cast iron, I'm all for. That's a good thing to have. Again, your produce can be exposed to plasticizers and hormone disruptors such as phthalates and bisphenols through plastic packaging, irrigation systems. Who thought of irrigation systems before? I didn't. That was big for me. You take water contamination that already might have some of these, and you funnel it through a bad irrigation tube, it increases dramatically. That was big. And so you have, where was I? Okay, agricultural equipment as well adds these things to your food. These chemicals are sometimes intentionally applied as surface treatments or coatings to act as preservatives, extending shelf life by reducing spoilage. That's why they say they're doing it. Studies have confirmed they're leaching into food during handling and storage. So I've made a big case for this. Let's now talk, if we have some time, about the solutions and any other questions. I recommend detoxes like no other for this. You need to minimize as much of the plastics and phthalates and all of these contaminants in your life, but then you need concurrently to be detoxing. And what I've learned from detoxing, I do it a lot. I actually do a detox every week. You don't have to do that, but you need to start with your liver, because if your liver is congested or stuck, it has been clogged for a long time, even if you did a colon cleanse or a kidney cleanse, it won't clear up the issue. The liver is kind of what governs all plastics, sulfurs, toxins, and even, all plastics in your life and hormone problems. So start with the liver cleanse. I do recommend dandelion and milk thistle. Just try that. I wouldn't recommend going heavy. There's other herbs that really do it aggressively.
Like what?
Like what? Oh, I love teas for these things. I found a really good dandelion coffee that you can make, and I pretty much do that every morning, to be honest with you. And I take milk thistle capsules because I just found that I don't love the taste of milk thistle, so that's something I'm trying to cover, but you get it. So I do dandelion in my salad too. If you are someone who knows where your that your dandelions in your field or in your yard are not covered by pesticides, you can go out and pick them and add them to your salad once in a while. Kidney cleanses, the best thing I've ever found, when they were trying to admit me to oncology, my red blood cells were eating each other. And they were finding that all of them were dying, and my spleen and my bone marrow was not making enough extra red blood cells. And so I looked like I had leukemia. And what I found out was I also had a huge pain in my lower back, and I hate to say this, but I was urinating blood, and I was bruising all over, black and blue. And I was told, do not touch anything, do not bump into anything, or you could actually have your kidneys explode. So I heeded that. I had to take a whole semester off of college just to relax and do that. But they had me drinking full strength, unsweetened cranberry juice that puckers you, nothing, in bottles. I had like 4 a day. I just kept chugging them back. And that blood that I was urinating out stopped. They start correcting it immediately. And ladies, if you have UTIs and stuff like that all the time, for one, drink your water. Drink enough water, but take your cranberry pills or cranberry juice like that. It'll fix it every single time. So because I found it was that potent to help me with that issue for my kidneys, that's my first go-to for people, is just full strength, unsweetened cranberry juice for kidney cleanses. And usually, especially in a room full of truthers, I would hope that you've actually found the truth of stevia as well, or some might call it stevia. When you have unsweetened cranberry juice like this, you might want a few drops of that in it. Just 1 or 2 to sweeten it up without any sugar, and you can get through it pretty well. It's actually delightful. Add some aloe vera juice to that. You can make a concoction. It starts getting real good. But number 3, then you need to go ahead, once you've done the liver cleanse, the kidney cleanse, do a full body microplastic phthalate toxin cleanse. I use iodine, and I actually do it, we travel a lot, so I try to do it every week. An iodine protocol. Dr. Guy Abramson, if you've ever heard of him, he has the Iodine Project. Again, all I can do is shout this out and hope that you guys will go look it up, because he shows how it can help all kinds of disorders, diseases, and how much we need iodine in our life and how they've taken it out. It used to be in our breads as bread conditioner. It used to be all our pools that were iodine pools. People used to take that first before any medication ever to see if it would just make them feel better. And now they don't. They've removed it from everything, claiming it is bad for you. It's a harmful substance. So I will do that once a week. That can really help cleanse microplastics and toxins out of your body. It can restore balance and help you heal. Castor oil packs, or even, dare I say, I've done it, spoonfuls like they used to do way back when for other problems. I like the sauna a lot. Again, sweating. If you can key into sweating, you'll be a very healthy individual who's detoxing well. Tamarind, recently I found out, if you've ever had tamarind, it's a fruit pod that is usually used in like Argentina or Mexican food and that kind of area. They make juice out of it, but if you like sweet and sour candy, it's like that. Like eating that fruit, it can be like a warhead. I love that stuff, so that's kind of like, okay, I can do this. It's a healthy alternative to having Sour Patch Kids or something. No sugar, just all the sweetness and sourness in one bite. And I found recently through study that it helps detox your body of almost 80% of microplastics. So I keep a brick of it. They have a bricks where they've already taken it out of the pod. They've taken all the pod debris out of it and the seeds, and you can just eat it in cubes. Cut it up and eat it, or even make your own juice out of it. And that's awesome. When you combine all these practices together, and you exercise, you have a pretty well-built maintenance system on a weekly basis or even a monthly basis for detoxing that I wouldn't worry about anymore. And if I have some extra time, how am I doing on time? Okay. So what I've is when you do this, I was in Taiwan for almost 6 months, and I looked around me and I thought everyone eats out of plastic, everything's packaged well, every Tupperware and container is plastic. But yet they look so healthy. There are people passing me on hikes and all kinds of things, all these older women like just doing great, doing better than I was at that age. And I started thinking about it and all this detoxing, and I thought they, within their food, and I'm giving you guys a huge clue right here, the medical industry doesn't want you to know this. They eat so much kelp and sushi, seaweed basically is the key I'm getting at, kelp and seaweed. It's full of iodine. And they eat it almost for every single meal. And it regulates your hormones. And so when you start having enough iodine in your life, it will correct a lot of these issues. And these women didn't have any menstrual issues, they didn't have any cancers going on, they didn't have any fibroids. They're giving birth, they're having normal female processes in their body happen without pain, without any discomfort. And I wanted to be like that. So I started taking iodine specifically because of that. I was afraid of getting the problems our Western world has. And so I want to just tell you that it is a huge deal. That's one of their secrets. They don't even know perhaps what they're doing in their life. It's just a way of eating that they've gotten into, that once they realize and they come to the US perhaps, and they stop eating their daily seaweed, man, things go bad.
How about selenium? You take selenium with your iodine?
Yes, so that's part of Guy Abramson's project, where he was actually helping tons of patients get rid of all kinds of symptoms and problems in their body. You have to take iodine, selenium, magnesium, and vitamin C together at minimum to make it work. You also have to have enough salt, which don't go crazy over that, it's just like 1/4 of a teaspoon to make that work also. Because iodine and salt, I don't know how, but they kind of go hand in hand like that. It's a lock and key mechanism. They have to hold hands to get into the cell to actually detox that cell. But just enough, 1/4 of a teaspoon will get you there. And our world is also pumping salt within us all the time. We all have puffy faces and all kinds of water retention going on because of it. So,
Certain kind of salt, like Celtic salt or...
yes, I found for me and my clients that Celtic salt, or as you're saying, Celtic,
Well, yeah, Celtic, I don't know what it is.
it is the best. It has all of the minerals, all of the electrolytes you want in there, and all you need is like a pinch. If you want to do more, of course, that's up to you, but no, use restraint. But otherwise, Himalayan salt is good also, but it just won't get you as far if you're thinking about how much nutrient value it has in it. It's not, it doesn't line up or measure up to Celtic salt. So, just to cover this a little bit more, my other recommendation to get this fully covered in your home is to switch to cooking your own meals, knowing where your food comes from, growing your own food, preferably, and then cooking it all so that you can manage what goes into it. Filtering your water, having glass or cast iron or stainless steel Tupperwares or even cookware. Now, when we talk about wood or paper, of course, I'm talking about your to-go like picnic bowls and spoons and stuff. Natural fiber clothing, your mattresses. Mattresses are kind of like a bomb waiting to happen. Usually they have formaldehyde added to it heavily, as well as having these plastics on the material. So that's a whole rabbit trail you'll go down. What?
How about the fluoride? You didn't mention your thoughts on fluoride.
Oh, I'm glad you asked, because this is a huge component of this. Fluoride will be detoxed by a lot of these, especially iodine, but it'll be detoxed by a lot of these other substances I'm recommending for cleansing the body. But it's terrible. Fluoride is terrible. It will not help your teeth. It actually, read the book by Melissa Gallico. She's an ex-FBI agent, or analyst who was traveling all around the world on her missions, and she would have all of these kinds of hormonal problems or even skin problems as she went from one place to another. And she realized that it was the fluoride in the water. And the iodine was the answer to it. And she wrote an entire book on it and has all these different clues also about our health system that's in there that most people don't know about. And forgive me for not knowing the exact title of the book, but look up Melissa Gallico, and she'll have a cover with water being poured into a cup on that cover of that book. So mattresses, furniture, your lacquer and paint. I know I hate to get to that, but paint even to prime things, to cover them more thoroughly, has plastic in them. When we get to your home, it's your body care, your cosmetics, your food, your bandages, even. I know bandages are even a culprit if it has a plastic covering on it. And so, again, step by step, one thing at a time, try to make your home.
The book is something to do like how I cured my acne.
It is, yes, that's correct. And it's strange because everyone goes to read that book and goes, wait a minute, this isn't about acne anymore at all. It's about iodine and fluoride. And the whole plethora of problems you can get rid of by just using iodine and realizing the fluoride that's being added to your life.
I think she was like part of a military family, and she cracked the code because they would go to a different country and all of her acne would reappear.
That's right.
And then they would move somewhere else and all of a sudden she wouldn't have problems. And she finally figured out it was the fluoride in the water when they were in countries that fluoridated their water.
Yes, she does focus a lot on the acne perspective, but she realizes, and I hope you guys realize as well, that usually when you have an acne problem, there's usually depression that goes with it, some bad feelings about yourself, and that would also go away. It would start balancing her chemicals in her brain to make her feel stable. And as she began to use iodine, everything started to make sense. So it's one of the biggest books that I promote everyone read. So that, I'm sorry, did I miss a question?
Yeah, I've got a question.
Okay.
So is it the iodine that like helps with the depression, or what's the?
Yeah. Yeah. Again, this is a lot. When I get into counseling young girls, usually for their menstruation and their pain, they don't realize that they're having PMSing, and I don't know if you guys realize, but it's not just PMSing that's happening. It's usually a chemical imbalance of depression going on within their brain. So they're getting depressed and they're taking it out on someone, usually, with anger. And so it's not really the chocolate bar that needs to be handed to them, it's iodine. And so I actually add it to my breads because I found out it used to be in all bread. When I make homemade bread, I, again, take it every week. One of the biggest areas that you can add it into is your cooking. If you make a soup, at the end, when you turn off the heat, you can go ahead and add maybe 2 drops. You don't want to make it taste like it, right? You don't want to disturb the flavor. Smoothies? Yep, there you go. Yes.
How many drops?
Okay, so that's, again, a whole science I'm going to have to leave you with, because look into Guy Abramson's thing. There are different types of iodine, many. I know up to 3 different types. There's regular iodine, such as for sterilizing that they use in the hospitals. It usually has a huge concentration of alcohol added to it. That's not what I really recommend anybody be taking internally or using a whole lot, because it'll actually take off a layer of your skin if you try to use it too much. So povidone iodine is what I recommend. It won't burn you. You can take as much of it as you want. By the way, you guys, you have to take up to 1 gram, which is a lot, a huge amount of iodine to actually have toxicity occur in your body. That doesn't mean I want you to push the envelope. Again, in that protocol by Guy Abramson, he actually tells you how to do a test on how much your body is lacking it and how much it's compromised by the lack of iodine. And so you can actually test by putting it on your skin, the right kind, of course, and seeing how quickly it dissipates, how much you need. You'll find your tolerance level, by the way, doing that. And so then you won't take too much. Otherwise, I will warn you, you will have an episode of kidney problems. So you do have to work up to certain milligram dosages. And take notes if you need to, whatever. But I've found where my body is, and that's all I ever need to go to anymore. And when I did go above it, just even 5 grams, I had kidney pain. And you have to drink a lot. That's a good point. I was mentioning this to someone else briefly, but your kidneys have to function with water to do any cleansing or detoxing. It's a huge powerhouse. It needs it to do any of that. You have to drink, again, that 1 gallon a day to do it. So don't skimp on water.
Yes?
Yes.
Your the iodine seems to do help with an awful lot of things. I'm going through an awful lot of cramping. I'm doing water, magnesium, salt, sulfuric salt, and I'm still having cramping.
Cramping?
Yes.
That
Full leg.
oh wow. Okay, so it sounds like you need probably more one-on-one counseling for that, because we would get into pretty hardcore cleansing and detox methods that would use other substances that are all natural still, but that would have to be a very customized plan for you. I've not seen that very often. But if you're still having those problems with some of those more natural forms, we just have to go heavier. Anybody else? Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, guys.
Get tickets to this year's event at internationaltruthexpo.com.